What's going on, everyone? So today we're going to put our helper bags on. These helper bags by Airlift, they fit a lot of different vehicles, a lot of different applications. I've read a lot of good things on them, and I've seen quite a few videos where, to me, it makes it seem like it's a lot more difficult than what it should be. So I'm going to try to just show how easy it is today. Let's get started. So I'm actually in the middle of making a totally different video, and I started to put the airbags on, and I thought, hey, this will make a good video. I had looked up videos on these, and like I said, they seem pretty complicated when really the task is fairly simple. I know a lot of you are thinking, dude, I don't have an old Travelall, what the heck? But let me show you why we're putting them on this, and really there's just a couple things, and it will still apply to your vehicle, even if it's newer. So back here on my Travelall, I did 4-link it, and I'm using a rear coil spring from a 96 Caprice wagon. Basically, if you have a rear coil spring, you can use these things. So that's why we're good to go. It actually has specifics in here, I noticed. 91 and up, Crown Vic, Tahoe, Yukon, Trailblazer, 62 and up, GM. I believe there's stuff in here for Fords, Dodges, I mean all kinds of stuff. So I was already working on this thing, so I already had it up on jack stands. If you don't have a lift, you want to get this thing up on jack stands. That way you got room to work on it. And because I had my jack stands actually underneath the rear end, that's letting the weight of the Travelall actually compress the springs. So I have a jack back here underneath the rear hitch of the part of the frame, actually picking the body back up, taking some of the weight off those coil springs. It's pretty much as simple as this. You got to collapse this thing and get it inside the coil spring. Now, whether you can run the airline out the top of your mount or bottom of the mount is up to you to decide. But it'll show you in here either way. Valve stem at the bottom, valve stem at the top. And then over here, installing your protector pad at the bottom or at the top. And basically, you want to install this on the side where your air hose is going to connect. So for me, we're going to do this with the airline going out the top. Whenever I fabricated all that stuff, I actually drilled a hole at the top mount and in the bottom mount. So I have the options for both. But to keep the airline ran along the frame, it'll look a lot cleaner coming out the top. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull off that cap, and we're going to compress this thing. We want to get as much air out of it as possible. To get this in there, I'm actually going to push that down like that and then fold it kind of in half like a hot dog. Kind of like that there. Now, as you can see, you can slide that thing right in. I've seen a lot of people struggle with that. Then you can pop that cap off, and you have to position it around a little bit, but it actually gets pretty easy to do once that thing fills back up with air. So there we go. Now, right above this thing, I know you can't see it, but up through this top plate, there is a hole up there, and through that hole is where I need to run this airline down through. So that'll go through the middle, and actually, you see how that's angle cut? I'm gonna grab my cutters and cut that straight where it's nice and flat. We don't wanna put an angle cut to push down. We wanna be able to get as much air hose as possible on that hose barb. I'm gonna pull that slack up through. And your air hose just pushes down on that barb, which I wish I could have the camera in there, but it'd be impossible. So hopefully you can see right there, I got the air hose pushed all the way down to the bag. You don't want to leave any of the barb out. Has a pain in the butt. So the driver's side's done, and the passenger side that we just did. I just opened up this other bag to see what all comes with this, and it looks like they give you 2 Schrader valves. So if you're going to be doing a lot of towing where you know you're going to have uneven loads, maybe favoring the passenger side or driver's side, it may be a good idea to put them on their own Schrader valve. That way you could independently control that. As far as me, I'm going to tee them together, and they come with a few clamps to be able to use down on these barbs. Now this part was a little confusing because if you look at their instructions, it says to run the airline to a straight pump connector, and then it says the straight pump connector attaches to the air spring fitting. I don't know if these are instructions for all their different airbags. I don't know if those are an old style airbag. We don't have that stuff on ours. We just have the barbs. Now as far as the air hose just pushing on the barb, honestly it should hold. I mess with enough air stuff. The max pressure on these are only 35 psi, and a lot of stuff where I work, we have a lot more air pressure than 35 psi going through connections like that, and they don't pop off. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm not worried about it on the top side. Basically we need to decide where we want to mount this thing and then tee our airlines together and connect them. When my bumpers on here, I actually have a flip up tag where this hitch is hidden. So I'm gonna go right underneath here and drill a hole right there. That way, anytime I tow, I gotta flip up my tag, put the hitch in, and then I can just reach up in there and shoot a little air in it. To run your airline is basically gonna depend on where you can zip tie it to or clamp it to. That's up for y'all to decide in your application. For me, I can run it above these floor supports, and they come all the way back, go underneath one right there, and I'm zip tying them. That's actually where my gas tank strap mounts to, and then we're just gonna drop down right here. As far as this stuff goes, it'll be protected there, good spot being along the top of the frame, and it may move a little bit, but I'm really not too worried about it. And just to try to take a little bit of wiggle room, I'm feeling along the top of my frame, and I found where 2 holes are pretty close next to each other. I'm gonna run a zip tie through those, and I'm not sinking these zip ties real tight, pinching it, just to kind of hold it from being able to flop around. All right, I got a nut on here. I'm gonna put one of these little lock washers. Then we do rubber washer, regular washer, and then another nut. Airbags are in both sides. We got our airline ran up, teed, and going to our Schrader. So I don't really have a load on it, and the spring's not really compressed an awful amount, but we'll still shoot some air in it. So I believe it picked up some. Oh yeah, it definitely did. It says no more than 35 psi. I shot just underneath that, and I'm gonna let it sit overnight to check for leaks. So I could actually hear an air leak already. And I pulled this wheel off and I thought it was leaking right up there around the air hose. But there's actually a split in the airbag. I know you can't really see it up here. And if I'd put soap on it, it would just bubble everywhere. But this airbag has a split in it. That sucks. So it's actually been a while since I bought these airbags. I bought them probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. I'm gonna contact the seller. I got them off eBay. I'll contact the seller, see what they want to do. I'm just gonna have a suspicion they're gonna say you've had them for too long. We'll see. What do we have here? Same part number, same bag. Only this one don't have a split at the top. That does right there. Oh no, kind of looks like it's been there. Makes me wonder if somehow it got past like quality or something somehow. I don't know. I tried to contact the eBay seller, couldn't get in contact with them. Tried to communicate through eBay. They basically told me sorry about your luck because of it being months previous. Tried to do it through PayPal. PayPal, for whatever reason, I could not get to work and get the little thing to submit. So what I should have done from the start, I just called Airlift. I explained them the situation. I wasn't sure the warranty on their parts, but he told me he was gonna send me an email, and in that email, if I could show him the receipt for where I had purchased it and a good shipping address, he'd get me one sent out, and he did. That was a few days ago, so that's great customer service by Airlift. I ran Airlift airbags on tons of vehicles that I've put air ride on, and I've never had an issue. This is the first time I've ever had an issue. Obviously, this is a totally different style of airbag, but to see them stand behind it and send one out right away, no questions asked like that, was pretty awesome to see. Just made me an even bigger fan of them because stuff happens. So that was awesome. So this won't be any different. I'm gonna go install this one, hook it up, and we'll air test it. Here we go. I'm going for a 30 PSI test again. It says max is 35, so I want to pressure test it at 30. I don't hear leaking this time, so that's a good sign. If you wanted, you could just take some soap and water and spray these joints down. And if you spray this thing heavy with soap and water, if there's a leak, you will see it. It will push it out. I'm honestly not too worried about it. I have faith. It's the next morning now, so I want to check the pressure, but I don't really have a pressure gauge. We're just gonna have to use this and see what it says. I don't know how accurate this is compared to just putting a regular pressure gauge on it, but we'll see if we're pretty damn close. We are right at the 30. Right on that line, so if we did drop, it's barely any. I almost bet it's really in there, just using this gauge. I'd like to have actual pressure gauge on it to be able to mark and watch, but this is the best I got for this video. So if it did drop, it just dropped a few PSI over a 14 or 15 hour period or so, which I'm not worried about. I honestly don't think there's any leaks. I think if there was a leak, that we would have been pretty well out of air pressure by now. So I think it's probably just trying to recheck it with that, but I can't tell you that 100%. So that's it for this video. I hope it helps out some of you guys. you can see really how simple it is to throw a set of these things on. It's not too complicated, and I wish this thing was running and driving where we could hook something to it and go tow, and I could, you know, show you the difference and everything, but unfortunately we can't do that. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, please check out some of the other videos. We've done a ton of work to this travel. The front frame's a 2003 Silverado. The rear suspension I built here in the shop. There's been tons of rust repair. We're building the brake lines now. There's all kinds of good stuff going on. It is a LS swap project, getting front and rear AC, all kinds of cool stuff. So please check out some of the other videos. If you always come back, thank you guys again for coming and watching my videos. If you want to help me out, all you gotta do is drop a comment down below, like or share, subscribe to the channel. All those things help me, so I always appreciate it when you guys do that. If you're on Instagram, I'm on there at Puddin's Fab Shop, and I'll see you guys next time. But don't forget, sitting on your ass won't finish your project. I'll see you guys in the next video.